here for Brother Tom Brodie. So if brothers could sign it, or Collingwood supporters can put an X or something like that, or their prison number or something along those lines, then that'll be fine. I'm sure Tom will appreciate it, even though he won't be able to understand it, but that's by the by. But that card, I'll get it on that table over there, so if you could all make sure you do that. In our formal part this afternoon, I don't know whether Brother Dixon, I just spotted him a minute ago, whether he wanted to say something or not. While he's making his way up, at 3 o'clock there is going to be the Divine Mercy Chaplain, which is going to take place somewhere over there. That'll be at 3 o'clock, and the bus is leaving, I believe, around about 3:30, 3:45. So, Brother Peter Dixon, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Well, not really, I should have. Can we thank all the people for coming?
Well, we thank everyone for coming, but you don't want to say anything? That's fine. 370 for the offering, and that's going to Caritas, so that's wonderful. And again, thank you very much to Father John for that generosity in donating it to Caritas. Going to now call upon our national chairman.
International president.
International. God, he gets better all the time. Next year it could be intergalactic. But anyhow, if Brother Walsh, Colin Walsh, would come forward and say a few words, we'd appreciate that very much. Thank you. We'll also have the drawing of the raffles a little later on too.
Thanks very much, Brother Des. Reverend Father Brothers. Once again, it's lovely to be here, that's for sure. Really enjoying coming to this function. It's my one function of the year I really enjoy. And I wasn't sure I was being called up there when they said National President. But the actual title is the President of the International Alliance of Catholic Knights. The International Alliance of Catholic Knights, I must admit, I enjoyed, as did Brother John when he was the President. I've really enjoyed my term as the International President, simply because you get to know all the brothers from the various orders around the world. And I find that communicating with similar people to ourselves, similar knights to ourselves, around the world, very satisfying. It's very interesting when Brother David Finlay invited me to join the State Council. I was a little bit reluctant, but what that did for me, it opened up that I got to know all the brothers in Victoria. And then when I became the National President, I got to know the brothers from around all Australia, and that was very satisfying. And then when I stepped up to International President, you get to know all the brothers around the world. One thing I've discovered, no matter whether it's the brothers in Africa, whether it's the brothers in Europe, whether it's the brothers in Australia or the brothers in New Zealand or the brothers in South Africa, we all have the same things in common. That is, the same issues. You know, you're talking about the issues within the church, your abortions, all the other social issues. No matter where you are in the world, those issues are all the same. And they're all very concerned, and the attacks on the church as well. And we haven't had the attacks like they have had in countries like Nigeria and Pakistan and those sort of countries, so we're very lucky. The next meeting of the International Alliance of Catholic Knights is to be in Glasgow between the 5th of October and the 12th of October, and that's where I will step down. That conference will have a very international flavour because obviously, being the President, I will be chairing that meeting, and Bishop Tomlinson, being the International Chaplain, will of course be the one in charge of all the pastoral duties at that conference. So we'll have very much an Australian flavour. So if anyone's interested in going, any member of the Knights anywhere in the world is very welcome to go to that conference. The conference actually goes for 1 week. As I said, it's between the 5th of October, 12th of October, chance to meet knights from around the world, and it's in Glasgow. I come back to Bishop Tomlinson too, and I have said that before here, but I want to reiterate again because we're in his diocese here today. Bishop Tomlinson is the International Chaplain of IACK. I was very grateful to Bishop Tomlinson because when I was elected the President, it's precedent that you have a bishop from your own country. And I was very wondered who I would be able to get. And I remembered that Bishop Tomlinson was our state chaplain, and he was a very good state chaplain as well. So I went up one day to Bendigo to see Bishop Les, and he accepted the position straight away. I thought he'd think about it, be accepted straight away. So I just say again, I'm very grateful to Bishop Les for taking on that role, because it does carry with it certain duties, and he is a very busy man, but he's done that job admirably. And he will also be travelling to Glasgow with me in October. I sort of became President of IACK by default a little bit, because I was speaking to the Secretary General when we had the IACK meeting in Perth, and at that point they had no nominations for Deputy President. So I said, well, you've got, this was following on, of course, that we'd had an Australian President only a couple of years before in David Huppatz. In actual fact, David Huppatz chaired the meeting in Perth. So I said, well, put my name, I'll nominate, and I got the Supreme Knight to endorse it, and I sort of became the Vice President by default because no one nominated. And of course that followed on that I was then 2 years later elected as the Chairman. This year I'm pleased to say, I don't know what's gone wrong, but they're all fighting for the position of Vice President. Now that sort of flatters me a little bit, because one of the things I've tried to do since I've been the President is to promote the Knights around the world and foster good relationship between the Knights. And whilst you don't see that in Australia, I've been very busy. Every night I work on my emails from something like 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning, phone calls, all that sort of thing. So now we've come into the nominations phase, and we've got all these people from all these various countries fighting to be the Vice President, which of course, usually by implication, they then go on to be the President. So I have to admit, I'm very flattered by that. And of course, some of the nominations really, you just wonder who's put them up and so on. But having said that, they are really fighting, especially from the African nations. It's been very satisfying, as I said, you get to know the Knights around the world. And I know I've told this story before down in Melbourne, but I know a lot of you weren't at that meeting. Last October I was invited over to Ghana, and in the course of getting ready to go to Ghana, one of the comments was, when I was on the phone one night, was, we're not sure if we can get all the participants or the people attending into the stadium. And I thought, what does that mean? You know, we go to our triennial conference and we might have 100 there. We go to our state conference, we might have 100 there. And he said, I'm not sure we're going to get them all into the stadium. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, we've hired the stadium at the university, which is the largest stadium in Ghana, and so far we've got 8,000 nominations. And he said, you have to address those people, you're the main speaker. I thought, gee, that's I hadn't expected that one at all. So anyway, I get to Ghana, and it was like incredible, the number of people that were there, all dressed in their dinner suits, and you've got these 8,000 people in front of you. And I was introduced with the words, you may have all noticed, but today we have one white man in our midst. So I certainly stood out in the crowd. But then I got the second shock when I got up, when I was on the stage ready, waiting for my turn to come, where I was the main guest speaker. And that was, I saw all these TV cameras and everything getting ready, all that sort of stuff. And then they said, of course you realise your speech is getting broadcast into 8 countries in Africa. So I was sort of taken a little bit surprised there. There were countries really that I knew nothing about and never heard of. The Togo, the Liberia, Burkina Faso, and a lot of those people that? And she said, well, my house was destroyed in that civil war. A lot of my neighbours were killed in the civil war. And I said, gee, that would have been very hard. I said to her, you know, if I lost my house, that would be absolutely devastating to me. And she said that there's one thing you haven't mentioned, that is that I'm still alive. So it was very interesting. A lot of things have happened to me recently. It's very strange at times. For example, and this is fairly close to home, I was advised only yesterday that one of the branches of the Knights in New Zealand wants to join the Knights of the Gama in South Africa. Now, why they want to do that, why they even contemplate that, I wouldn't have a clue. But the reality is that as a member of the International Alliance of Catholic Knights, a branch here can't join a branch of the Knights because the Knights in Australia and the Knights in the Southern Cross, same with the Knights in New Zealand, it has to be the Knights of the Southern Cross New Zealand as well. Another instance which is a bit strange also is that the Knights in Columbus, and we've all heard of the Knights of Columbus, is that they are trying to start up an organisation in Sierra Leone, and they are trying to start up an organisation in Ireland. And of course we've had to step in and say to them both, and involve the various archbishops in those countries, that they're not permitted. If they want to join in Sierra Leone, they have to join their local Knights organisation, and the same in Ireland. It's the Knights of Columbanus, and they have to stay. The Knights of Columbus are not allowed to move into Ireland. So there have been conversations that have been going on at a very high level, and of course the Knights of Columbus, with what it is, their 15 million members or whatever, are not very happy. But unfortunately, they're the reality. So we've been mixed up in those sort of conversations and things that are going on as well. I mentioned that I was very grateful for Bishop Lester taking that on, and I'm really grateful about that. I don't know that I had too much more to say, except for one other fact that's just occurred to me as well. And I spoke to them about the Knights of Columbus. I was very surprised to find out that the Knights of Columbus have a very strong representation in the country just off there that have been, and I can't think of the name, which had been at loggerheads with America, where Castro was, Cuba. The Knights of Columbus have got a very strong representation in Cuba. Now that absolutely surprised me in view of the relationship between the United States and Cuba. So I was very surprised to find that out, and they didn't seem to think that that was an issue at all. From an outsider over this side of the world, we would have thought they'd be at loggerheads. So the Knights in Cuba, there's a fairly strong organisation there. And as I said, I was surprised to find out that we had strong organisations and Knights in a lot of these African countries. And I speak about Nigeria as well. They've got a very strong organisation in Nigeria. They've had their churches bombed very much in Nigeria, but they say we have to continue, and we have to continue with what we believe in despite the threats. So we're very lucky here in Australia. We really are, when you see how some of these other countries, and they're persecuted in terms of their religion. We have very great difficulty being in touch with the Knights in Pakistan, simply because of the persecution they are under as well. So we must pray to God that, you know, Catholics around the world and the Catholics that are under persecution, that God shines down on them and makes their life a little easier. And then we come to a day like today, how lucky we are as Knights of the Southern Cross. Thank you very much, brothers.
Thank you indeed, Brother Colin. Rather inspiring, and also gratifying to know that we're not alone, that there are many others around the world are also in organisations such as ours. I'm now going to call upon our State Chairman, Brother Carmine Miranda, if he would come forward, please. while he's coming up here, I must say how delighted when I received my Crusader in the last couple of weeks to open it up and see that the priests support an education, you know, that Susan Alberti and Brian Martin are going to be both the guest speaker and the Master of Ceremonies. I don't think I could have picked a better double myself, having just finished a book on Susan Alberti, which I thought was totally inspiring. It was just a wonderful book. And of course Brian Martin being a great race caller from not all that long ago, certainly a great person, so I'm looking forward to that very much indeed. So I've got the calendar already ringed. Thank you. Now our State Chairman, Brother Carmine.
Thank you, Brother Des. Reverend Fathers, fellow brothers. Actually, before I start, I might just get my State Secretary, Brother Andrew Vaccaro, to say a few words, and then I'll finish.
Reverend Father, Reverend Fathers, International President, State Chairman, fellow State Councillors and brothers. Brother Carmine got me here today, wants me to talk to you about the State Seminar, which will be hosting at head office at Box Hill, St Clair's Box Hill, on Sunday, June the 16th. We encourage as many branches as possible, or as many members as possible, to be in attendance that can make it to attend, because we'll be discussing a lot of what the Order Development Committee's been working on, particularly regarding the future of the Order at branch level, at district level, state level. We're working on the plan, encouraging all branches to devise and come up with their own plan for their own future, and this will extend over to district level and state level. So we encourage as many people to attend with that. During the day we will have various sessions, and we'll also have a guest speaker, and I can announce to you that our guest speaker will be Deacon Nathan Rawlins, who's a seminarian at Corpus Christi College in Carlton, who's studying for the priesthood for the Archdiocese of Melbourne, and who will likely be ordained to the priesthood September this year. So he'll likely talk to us about what his needs will be going forward as a newly ordained priest, first as an assistant, then likely in the future as a parish priest, and how we as an order can help him and the rest of the Presbyterian. On that day, for those brothers who can't attend, we're going to try and live stream the State Seminar on YouTube. So if anyone, I'm setting that up at the moment, so for those brothers particularly here in Northern 8, and those brothers from other regions that aren't able to make the long trip, they can gather around at branch level and watch it live on YouTube, and have the option of live chatting. There'll be a live chat, so if anyone has any questions on the day, they can submit those questions in real time, and I can answer those along the way. So we're trying to make use of technology, of modern technology, and to try and evangelise, to try and streamline our operations, to get our word out there. So that's going to be it looks like a go. I've attempted a few live streams over the past week at my parish at Holy Week, and they seem to have come up okay, so we'll see how this one goes. Now, was there anything else that you wanted me to talk about, Brother Carmine? What's that? That's it. So thank you very much, and I'd like to again thank Northern 8, the branches of Northern 8, Rutherglen, Myrtleford, Wangaratta, am I missing any? And Corowa, Wodonga, sorry, and Corowa branches as well. So again, thank you very much for your wonderful hospitality, and Brother Barney Gehrig as well for again allowing us to have this wonderful picnic on this wonderful location. So thank you very much.
hands dirty. I get involved in most things. A couple of things that I will be pushing is that I want to encourage branches to grow. Now I know we're all getting older, so we've got to encourage succession in branches. That's fairly important. So my number one priority will be to try and build existing branches. As well as doing that, we will be looking at commencement of new branches, because we're doing a lot of work with seminarians these days. A lot of those seminarians have become parish priests, and they're in areas where there are no KSC connections at all, and we will be looking at commencing new KSC branches in those areas. Last year we were fortunate enough to commence one of our first branches in some 18 years in Werribee at St Peter's. Next week, on the Tuesday the 6th of May, we're looking at commencing our second branch in 2 years. Also in the Werribee area at St Andrews. So for anybody that is in the Werribee area on that night, you're most invited. You're invited to attend. We're hoping to have anywhere between 6 to 8 new members starting at that new branch. That's our big thing going forward. So if any branches are struggling and would like some help, I'm only a phone call away, and I'm happy to help out in any way I can. I still work, so I do just need a bit of time, a bit of warning. If you're going to have any functions or anything, I'd like at least 4 weeks warning so I can plan my trips. The Pre-Support and Education Fund, the KSC Pre-Support and Education Fund, Archbishop's Dinner is planned for Friday the 16th of August. I'd love to have as many people from the area here attend. We're well supported over the years, we've been well supported. I hope that I can have your support again this year. Last year was a fantastic year. We had in excess of 400 people in attendance and raised $75,000. We're hoping to do the same thing this year. We've got our main guest speaker is Susan Alberti. The MC for the night will be Brian Martin. I think that we've done exceptionally well in getting 2 great people to assist us to make it a great evening, and we can distribute a nice cheque to Archbishop Cavansoli at the end of the night. Here, thank you very much once again. First of all, to Northern 8. Northern 8. Rutherglen. Okay, Northern 8. Don't worry about these boys over here. Northern 8, because it is a team effort, and in all honesty, I know the boys have done a marvellous job with the cooking, but it's the organising is the whole area, so thank you very much. The day's been fantastic. It hasn't been too hot, so we've been not under pressure. Bernie, once again, for allowing us to be on your property. The Reverend Fathers for the mass you've put on today. Thank you very much. Numbers are a little bit lighter than the previous year, so that's a little bit disappointing. So we probably need to go back and just make sure that we encourage as many people to attend these type of events as possible. And that's something that I'll be working on to make sure that these numbers get bigger and bigger as the years go on. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much indeed, Brother Carmine. Well done. Okay, time now for the raffles. If someone from